Get 5 coffins ready.
Hello, how's it going, everyone? Showmilk here, and today I just wanted to give you a quick overview / review, reaction, whatever, to whatever this was called, the Phase 2 playoffs. So I got all the sets here. I'm going to give my general thoughts about them. Try and keep it concise, because I'm not going to do a whole thing where I go and grab replays of every single team fight and everything. And plus, most of the games you can kind of gloss over, and then specifically talk about certain things once we talk about the set as a whole. So first off, I just wanted to show you guys this message I posted on the 2nd of September. It's obviously the 5th now, which was the finals. So this was before the playoffs. I wanted to include. As for playoffs, yeah, I really had no clue who was going to win this one, because, I mean, a bunch of teams look really decent. And it seems like whoever's top team, you're like, okay, this team is probably going to be the top team. Then they get beaten by another team who was potentially a top team. So it was really, it was hard to try and guess. But yeah, I was thinking, Jade, Bolts, Leviathans, they all seem to have, well, in this case, Blots, but also the Bolts too, seem to have just this on-off switch where it's just like they can just get completely pounded for an entire set. It's like, sometimes you have those games where, like, as a collective team, you're just kind of off, right? But, like, it seems like with Leviathans, Jades, and Bolts, they just kind of can fall off for an entire set for no reason, and that leads to real inconsistencies, and, like, you can drop sets to people you weren't really supposed to, technically, because of that. So, and I also say Kings have looked good, but also have an off switch. Like, sometimes the Kings don't play well sometimes, like, randomly. I don't know why. Sometimes Twig is the entire team, and other times Twig is the reason they're losing. It's weird, right? I don't understand how that dynamic works. Maybe I need to dig a little deeper and try and understand what's making each team sort of fall off when they do have that quote-unquote off switch. And that left the Titans, which are on the up and up, of course, with Layers. Aurora's been looking a lot better with Layers, and Layers himself, I think his playstyle just really suits his meta. Just flops in front of this carries faces with, like, no fear at all. He has extremely high confidence, which is awesome on these jungle warriors and stuff. And another pick that I will be getting to and I want to talk about. So I'd say it's between Kings and Titans. That wasn't true, but one part of this is true, if you guys don't already know. So let's get into this. One thing I didn't actually realize, that I totally should have been doing this entire time. Sorry about this, guys. I could have just been pressing F11 and had just a much cleaner look for doing these. Didn't have to have this stupid taskbar underneath or anything. My bad on that one. Really should have thought of that. But anyways, let's talk about Oni Warriors versus Leviathans. This will be a quick one. On Oni Warriors, sometimes Dardes and Vote have been popping up, and Neil seems okay. He still seems about the same amount of skill level, but he really needs a team that's going to follow up with him, and the rest of the team just isn't at the same level of aggression that he is. They're just not. The team doesn't seem very succinct. The mechanics seem off a lot of the time. Dardes is nowhere near the crazy carry that he was it last season? Yeah, last season. Even on signature picks, like, he really just doesn't seem to do much a lot of the time. And Vote was actually surprising. I thought Vote was washed, I'll be frank, but he's actually been popping up here and there, and really, he's had his moments of popping off. So I'm pleased with how Vote's been playing, and Nika is, I would say, the only, like, really standout player on that team. Some games Nika just seems like he's the only player there, but through and through in this set, it was pretty clear the Leviathans were going to win. Oni Warriors just couldn't really give them a run for their money. Leviathans just get going early, and then this team, most teams can't stop them once Leviathans really get going. I do hope the best for Oni Warriors. Of course, we want the most competitive league possible, but as it stands, I've been really, I don't want to say unhappy. That sounds like I'm their parents or something. But yeah, I've been disappointed with Quavo. Been disappointed with Neil. Neil needs a different team, I think. He just doesn't gel. Maybe personality-wise, he gels really well with these guys. I don't know. But playstyle-wise, it just doesn't seem to match up. Whoops. Something needs to change. But of course, Leviathans are Leviathans. You give them a lead early, and you have a very low chance of winning the game. Just being honest, like, if you give Leviathans a lead, you don't start shutting Panatom or Yarkhor down, you're probably a goner. And as for Shinto, you can't really shut him down because mid laners, right? The mid laners right now are very safe. It's not really worth it to try and shut them down. Now, Jade Dragons versus Titans. An upset for only one reason, and that's the scoreline. this didn't go to a game 5. It was 3-1, and pretty much all the way through, it was feeling like, other than the first game, pretty much all the way through, it really felt like Titans had it in the bag. Like a lot of the time with Jade Dragons, it just felt like they couldn't get much going, honestly. And a lot of it is these are very good individual players. Of course, we'll talk about that one, but they're very good individual players, but it doesn't seem like they're succinct like they used to be, right? Had things been ever so slightly different, they could have been double world champions with this core team. They should be perfectly succinct like they have been in previous seasons, and their phase 1 was pretty good, but they've just been falling off. Mechanics haven't been as good. Draft has been okay. And then especially playing succinctly and following up on each other in a timely fashion, it just hasn't been there. Sam and PBM seem okay, but actually PBM and PandaCat, the legendary duo, I don't know, sometimes they're just so spread out from each other, like they have completely different wavelengths that they're on, completely different ideas of what they should be doing in certain lanes especially. But team fights too, that sometimes they're just way spread out. Some people are sitting behind camps they shouldn't be sitting behind. They should be closer in the jungle with their team, things like that. Heroine seemed okay for most of the set, but then just why? Why Poseidon? I don't see how Poseidon is. Maybe I need to actually ask a pro or something. Like how good is Poseidon actually right now? Do you think? I don't see how Poseidon's good right now. I don't see how that character excels in any meaningful way. And of course, you get the Giannis bans, Morgan Le Fay bans, Ryzen, Tiamat, so many mid laners banned. So fair enough, right? Who do you pick? And Poseidon has been like a fallback character for a long time now. Like, all right, a ton of Mages have been banned. Let's do the good old Poseidon, but it just never seems to work out, especially in this meta. I don't really see how he's great. This sort of showed also the potency of both Dr. Layers and Mr. Cyclone Spin as a hyper carry. I said Cyclone at the start of the season. I said Cyclone Spin. He's always going to be there. He's going to be doing his thing. With the rise of more and more hyper carries, he's really shown himself to be a great hyper carry player, and we already knew that, right? With the assassins. And soloing assassins in the ADC role a couple times in earlier seasons. That was fun. So he's obviously a hyper carry player. I guess I just underestimated just how good this meta would be for him. And then Layers as well. Yeah, he came through with a few different picks, but this is where the rise of the Erlong came in. I think Layers' Erlong Shen was probably the best jungle performance, I would say, overall. In terms of individual games, you could probably pick out one of these Erlong games as the best jungle performance of the entire playoffs. He was just amazing on this character. His confidence and his understanding of the damage the character can do, how long the crowd control lasts. Is it worth it to dive this guy? Stellar. Sometimes it gets him killed, but then his team wins the fight, right? Because of the CC and zoning he provided. And Aurora's inting a lot less too. That's awesome. He seems a lot more. Well, it seems like he's doing the same things he was, but now he's doing it with Layers. He's going to follow up. Next up was Leviathans versus Bolts. Another interesting set here that was really cool to watch in some ways, but in other ways it was like, oh, I don't want Haddix to lose. I don't want Jake to lose. I don't want Bear to lose. But then Jake picks Odin support. I forgot about that one. Zatman seemed really angry this set. So Zatman really stepped up this set, and I thought he was going to be a bit more of an asset this playoffs. That did not turn out to be the case later on. But still, Yarkor was coming through with these Guardian picks, and he's just a menace every single match. Panatom was seeming pretty decent for the most part. Just a fluke here and there, right? It didn't seem like he was going to do the thing where he throws the match and then they lose the set off of it. At least it seemed that way at this point. And Zatman seemed like he was stepping up as well, really just ripping through the entire team. And their draft just felt a lot stronger than Bolts's. Bolts just was not getting exactly what they wanted most of the time. Leviathans was getting got Ryzen RTO more than once, which isn't a thing, boys. We We don't allow that in this house against Leviathans. Like, he had the regular season to see that that was a problem, and then Bolts just didn't adapt to it. They even had a chance to lose to it and then adapt in the next draft, but then they just kind of didn't. You know, I understand where they were coming from with their bans, and just in general, Lasbra had a few issues with, you know, the classic Lasbra int, trying to do a crazy cool play, trying to do a crazy cool prediction, and then he just burns a cooldown he shouldn't have, or he just dies. And then Jake, I don't know what's been happening with him. Maybe, I don't know, confidence issues or something. I don't know. Just really not making good decisions overall. Mechanically fine, but his decision making has been not so great. And then Haddix, Guardian meta, it's not his meta at all. Hopefully we can see another Warrior meta before the season ends so we can see him pop off a little bit more. But the adaptation, of course, you know, he still has to make some sort of adaptation to the Guardian meta. And while this is, you know, his performance will work against maybe the lower half of the seeding in the SPL, right? I think his adaptation to the Guardian role has been overall not great, and that led to a loss here. So moving on to Kings versus Titans. The matchup I predicted would be the final one was the semifinals, so hey, at least I got that part right. I don't really know what happened here. Yeah, Titans just kind of slapped them around. Camelot Kings weren't like playing like themselves. I'm really not sure what happened. And then there was just this one match where it got flipped around, and then Camelot Kings did the slapping to Tartarus Titans. And yeah, this was something that Paul touched on in the interview in the final set, where Titans occasionally, they get too ahead of themselves, and they just try to start splitting the map way too early, trying to split up farm and things like that, and trying to take farm from the enemy team. And they just do it way too early, and they get punished for it. That was the one flaw that Paul saw in their team, and I saw in their team, because I can't really think of many other flaws, other than occasionally maybe Layers or Aurora going too deep. Other than that, like, there's almost no flaw to this team, so that's probably what happened here, is they just got a little too overzealous, and then Twig turned up with this creature, I don't even want to call it a character. But yeah, and then you had just Variety and Genetics just diving all the way into the enemy Titan room while like we're back at base, like, guys, back up a little bit, guys, we need some help back here. And then the tanks just got shredded straight through almost every single fight, to almost no avail. Like, almost no beads were being popped, almost no ults were being popped, resulting from those tanks going in. Really, really just poor play. You know, the Kings are my boys, right? Variety, Nestroid, Genetics, you know, I had a match with them, and they were all very nice to me, fanboying over them, and they seemed good during the regular season, right? I should be rooting for these guys, but they played so poorly. I don't know what happened here. I don't know. Ping diff, I guess. I'll just say ping diff because I like them. Let's move on to the finals, boys. Titans versus Leviathans. Let's get straight into it. Titans slammed them for most of the set here. It was really, really impressive. Layers, I wanted to talk about this. Layers' Camazotz came through. That was a character I didn't think of. You know, I was looking at the Assassins list. I didn't even consider this character. So the real strength of this character, because of course it's triple tank most of the time, and that usually means triple engage. So Camazotz ult. Bro, I didn't even think about that. An assassin who's completely immune in the air, can see the entire fight, can deal like 700 damage to a carry if he needs to, or just get out if he needs to and he went too deep. And then, of course, he can lead him to all inning once his 2 engages are done engaging. And Layers played it awesomely, of course. This was another thing. Pentatom, okay, Yarkor picking Chu in the finals. I think you have to respect the fact that you're against, you know, whatever you think of the Tartarus Titans, they made it to the finals convincingly. So maybe don't pick Cucullin and pick a Guardian instead. Of course, the draft wasn't necessarily in their favor to do that, but still, I think picking Chu was silly, and he got picked a couple times because of it. Yeah, you got to respect Odin. Odin's a problem with that Fighter's Mask Warriors axe, dude. It is not fun to play against. But yeah, that's not to say that Layers did everything right. I mean, because Paul really came through as well. Paul was top damage, I think, every game. Of course, Tiamat is one of the most broken characters in the game, which we will talk about, actually, in an upcoming video. And Khepri as well, with this triple engage, sort of triple tank meta. Really, really great with that ult. Because you just go insanely deep as hard as you can, and then, oh, boop, Khepri ult. Oh, nice. Don't even need to use it on a carry in most fights. You just use it on the tank. So yeah, the one game the Leviathans did win. Shinto went off with this Merlin. I have to say, in a lot of ways, I feel like this was better than Raijin. I know Raijin's Raijin, right? But dude, this Merlin looked awesome, and I think it might be better against this triple tank meta. And I think also you have to get the understanding that against Tartarus Titans, and also this leads into with the Osiris pick as well. You're really not going to get a lead every game, and by this point, or by the end game, by the final game, I think they should have understood. Okay, a lead is not guaranteed against these guys. We can't do the same thing we've been doing to all the other teams. We can't guarantee a lead against them, so let's just not draft the Osiris. But then they drafted the Osiris and then gave them Erlong, which I think Erlong just fills in all the gaps that Osiris lacks, you know? Like, he has that late game presence even if you get behind, where Osiris really doesn't. And then, like, Leviathan's got a little bit ahead, but then, so they went for a Gold Fury. Titans went for a Gold Fury, and then Shinto stole an absolute beast mode play. Then they were like, ha, yeah, stop them good. Wait, they're at the Fire Giant? Oh. And then just the most ridiculous move you've ever seen from Panatom. Goes around the Pyromancer pit, and then goes underneath them while the two of his teammates, I think, were pretty much in base. And then his other two teammates are in their jungle, all the way back, I think, around blue buff area. Not that exact area, but, you know, at that level. So far away. And Panatom's just, then he walks in, gets one shot. Rongyu gets eviscerated trying to help him. And then Shinto, who's about half because he got plucked by Benji's amazing Hercules. Benji was amazing on Herc, by the way. I didn't think Herc was this good, but yeah, he got like multiple 3-man pushes and stuff. 2 and 3-man pushes. And Shinto was already chunked from that earlier. And then Shinto just gets sniped by Cyclone Spin. And then the game's just over. They got a little ahead, and then they just thought they were as ahead as they needed to be. Which just was untrue because Titans had really good micromanaging of their farm as well. It was getting everything they could, so they weren't actually that far behind, even though they were behind in kills. So I think it was just a poor analysis of the situation from Leviathans, which led to them just overextending. Yeah, that was just an unfortunate set from Leviathans, and I think Titans played their game better, and then Titans adapted after Leviathans got, you know, quote unquote, their game of getting ahead and just keeping the lead, like here. And I think Titans adapted to that and just let them just grinded the lead to a halt and then just won off of punishing them for thinking they had a larger lead than they may have thought they did. But that is the Phase 2 playoffs in SMITE, and I talked for 22 minutes. It was supposed to be like 10 or 12. You know what? It's okay. I've talked about the SPL now. Oh, I got to give a shout out. I almost forgot. This fine fella right here, one of my longtime viewers. He actually predicted Titans would win. I was like, bro, are you crazy? Are you kidding me? Look at Leviathans, dude. Look at Kings, dude. And he proved me wrong. Oh, my bad. My bad, dude. I'll put your Instagram in the description. How about that? All right. Well, that was Phase 2 playoffs. It was still a lot of fun to watch. I mean, all these sets I think were awesome, other than the Camelot Kings one, because that was very disappointing, honestly. But yeah, the rest of them were great to watch. I would recommend... Well, okay. Oni Warriors and Camelot Kings. Don't watch these 2 sets, but these 3 sets here I think are absolutely worth a watch if you guys want some good SPL content going. That about wraps it up. Thank you guys for watching.